If I were to show you the 5 most common sources of stress that you could fix today, would you want to know what they are? And would you want to fix them? This could very well be the difference between you burning out and feeling like trash and you feeling and looking like $1,000,000. Well, you're in luck. Because in this video, I'm gonna show you how one of my clients not only managed these 5 things, but did so to the tune of losing 25 pounds while traveling all over the world for a busy tech job. Seriously, this guy flew everywhere. And the thing is, these stressors aren't anything crazy. So what made the difference for this guy? Well, it was a result of him looking at stress through a completely different lens. And after this video, you'll look at stress in a completely different way as well. So what did he do? Well, first, let's set the stage for what stress is defined as. According to Merriam-Webster, stress can be defined as one of bodily or mental tension resulting from factors that tend to alter an existence of equilibrium. Now put a sticky note on that equilibrium part, because we'll come back to it. When it comes to stress, you can look at it into 2 general buckets. One is going to be acute stress, which is a response to a very specific event. Then there is chronic stress, which is overwhelm or feeling pressured for an extended period of time. And remember when I told you that you're gonna look at stress through a completely different lens? Here's why. This graph visualizes what your allostatic load is. Now, the allostatic load is the physiological measure of cumulative burden of stress on the body assessed by markers of physiological dysregulation. It's a lot of big words. And it's important to realize this system can become overloaded due to ongoing environmental demands on the individual, be they physical, physiological, or psychosocial. So here's an example of how you want to think about stress. In this cup is everything that you can't control. If this is already almost filled to the brim, you can only take on so much before it overflows. Not gonna overflow on my chair. However, let's say there's not a lot of stress going on in your life. You can handle a lot more stress before your cup or your allostatic load gets overfilled. But here's the thing, not all stress is created equal. And that's because our body judges a situation and decides whether or not it is stressful. This decision is made based on sensory input and processing, the things we see or hear in a given situation, and also on stored memory, what has happened the last time we were in a similar situation. Now, why does that matter and why is that specific to the individual? Well, it's your adrenals that are responsible for releasing cortisol and adrenaline. So if someone is perceiving a situation as stressful, be it chronic or acute, and someone is not perceiving the exact same situation as chronic or stressful, maybe it's traffic, maybe it's finances, someone is having a different hormonal response to a situation. Extrapolate that out over days, weeks, months, years, you're going to have someone who has a higher level of stress. And for someone who's under chronic stress, that's like having a consistent drip of the hormones responsible for getting you ready to run away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But in reality, it's just emails that you need to get back to for Chad. And remember when I told you to put a sticky note on that word equilibrium? Well, the body is always trying to find an equilibrium. That's how the metabolism, that's how the system as a whole works. However, there are times when you have multiple stressors outside of your control. Deadlines for work travel, sickness, pandemics, recessions, injuries, deaths in the family. You need to be able to balance your fitness stress with all the other stress that is coming in throughout life. So at this point, you might be like, Paul, give it to me. What are these 5 common sources of stress and how can I manage them? Well, let's dive into it. The first thing you can address is gonna be your alcohol consumption. And that's because your cortisol post-alcohol consumption is going to be higher at baseline. This study showed that after consumption of alcohol, a spike in cortisol is seen at 4 hours and persists for up to 24 hours after consumption, normalizing at 36 hours. So you might be really stressed at work Monday through Friday. Maybe you're training really hard as well. And then you go have a few drinks to relax. But in reality, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when you're having those drinks to kick back and relax, you're actually spiking your cortisol during that time. And this was something referenced heavily by Andrew Huberman, PhD in neuroscientist and professor at Stanford University, where he dove into several ways that alcohol impacts not only your recovery, but your gut health, your mental health, and a number of other systems. I think one of the biggest impacts that alcohol is gonna have is gonna be on your sleep, because even a little bit of alcohol in your system significantly impacts your deep and your REM sleep, which are crucial for physically and mentally restoring yourself. And you can check out this video right here where I dive into the 5 benefits of taking a break from alcohol and how it's gonna impact your mental health, your gut health, your body composition, your sleep, and your performance. So what did I do with this client that helped them manage their alcohol consumption and stress a little bit more? Well, we created a lens and a framework for drinking opportunities. Anytime he was going to have a drink, he said, is this alcohol sedative or is this additive? Meaning, is this enhancing the experience or is this alcohol sedating stress or sedating feelings that I don't want? That helped him delineate if he actually wanted to have alcohol, which led to him drinking alcohol a little bit less. The second thing you might need to do is simply have more calories. And that means not always being on a diet. In fact, this study found a link between restrictive calorie deficits and stress. And now, this isn't to say that losing weight is a bad thing. In fact, having excess body fat on your frame is one of the most stressful things that your entire system can go through. But you have to be smart about when and where you're restricting calories, and do it at times when your biofeedback and your metabolism is as healthy as it can possibly be, and also do it during times when stress is a little bit lower. So one of the ways I help manage this for my client is that as he was losing weight and being in a calorie deficit, we would pull him out during really stressful times. During his wedding, we pulled him out for several weeks. During international travel, we pulled him out for several weeks. And this enabled his overall stress, his allostatic load, to not get to a point to where he was overloaded. The third best way to manage your stress is to stop doom scrolling and consuming a bunch of news. That means cutting back on your social media consumption and your consumption of the news. The news, social media platforms, they all get paid off of your eyeballs. And if you've ever heard the saying, if it bleeds, it leads, there's a reason for that. We are wired to pay attention to things that drive fear and anxiety in us. And so the news and social media is gonna consistently pump that out more, because that means more time spent watching the news, more advertising dollars, same as more time spent on social media. And that doesn't even include the anxiety that someone might get from FOMO, comparison, or negative comments on your social channels. So what can you do about managing this stress beyond just consuming less social media? Try creating more and consuming less. Maybe that means spending more time doing artistic activities like painting or building, or creating memories outside with friends, playing board games, playing and spending time together. Go and build something with your bare hands, like these Legos. Ultimately, what this does is it puts you in a childlike, playful flow state, as opposed to being in a fear-based state, thinking that the world is gonna end. The fourth way that you can really manage your stress better, and this is one of the most common conversations I have with both clients and people on social media asking for advice, is to notch down your training intensity. So many people take the approach of more is better. More pain, more sweating, higher heart rates. If you're not burning millions of calories each workout, it's not an effective workout, which couldn't be further from the truth. Whenever I'm programming for clients or for myself, I always try and make sure that I have no more than 2 max effort days. These are gonna be high intensity days of 90% max heart rate or 90% intensity from a weightlifting standpoint. And I got this from Joel Jamieson, who's one of the world's foremost authorities in strength conditioning and energy systems. He's trained athletes all over the world in the NBA, MLB, he's trained Navy SEALs. This guy knows his stuff. So one of the things that I did with my client is that we made sure that his training intensity matched his intensity of stress throughout the rest of his life. If he was traveling, if he had family events, if he had his wedding, we made sure to pull down his training from 5 days a week to 4 or 3 days a week. And then we made sure that his training program included no more than 2 high intensity sessions per week, so that his body could recover from what he was doing in the gym. Another hack for this is to rely more on walking for your cardio than running or biking or doing things that are high intensity. Walking is gonna be something that you can do that's parasympathetic, meaning that's in a relaxed state, as opposed to doing something that elevates your heart rate that your body needs to recover from. And finally, the fifth thing that you can do to really manage your stress is reduce inflammation as much as possible. One of the best ways to do this is by prioritizing your gut health. And as previously mentioned, alcohol consumption is gonna be one of the things that can wreak havoc on your gut health. That's because alcohol is gonna go and kill the good bacteria in your gut microbiome, and it is going to create a situation where bad bacteria can thrive. On the diet side of things, you really wanna cut down as much as possible fried foods, refined grains, candy, soft drinks, and snack foods. I think we all know the definition of junk food when we see it. You just gotta be honest with yourself. On top of that, and sometimes things you can't control are gonna be things like sickness or even getting cuts. If you go and look at a cut on your finger, you're going to see increased inflammation, more blood flow, more work being done by the immune system to go and heal the area. So a simple rule of thumb here is that the more your immune system is tasked with doing, the more stress your entire system, your entire body is under. So here's a few things that I really focused on with this client to make sure that we were doing everything that we could to reinforce his immune system. Number 1 is getting an adequate amount of sleep. Number 2, supplementing with things like vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, turmeric, and zinc. And then you can also do additional things like cold therapy and manual therapy to get increased blood flow throughout your body. Thanks for watching. If you got value out of this video, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe. If you got any questions or got any thoughts, drop them below in the comments. And if you know any stressed out friends, be sure and share this with them, maybe help them out a little bit. Down in the description, you can get access to my free online course. This is gonna be my fitness playbook, everything you need from workouts, recipe books, and trainings on how to go and get in the best shape of your life physically and mentally. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next Return of the Athlete video.